You know, I've been asked a few times why I haven't covered hormone blocking therapy in my previous cancer blogs. I mean, I covered the cancer itself, all the testing, and I covered the radiation treatments in depth, but I never really talked about hormone blocking therapy. So I had another topic in mind for today, which I'm still planning on doing, but I thought I would take the first few minutes of this just to talk a little bit about that for those of you that would like to hear how that is going, what my decision was, and why. There are two major ways of using hormone therapy following breast cancer. The first type of medication prevents the body's cells, including any cancer cells and tumors, from grabbing the estrogen that is in your system and using that estrogen to grow and spread. A really common one in that category is tamoxifen, but there are others. And it's generally taken for 5 to 10 years post radiation / chemo, depending on the situation. Sometimes, I will say, these medications are taken prior to surgery to shrink a tumor so the surgeon can better remove the tumor in its entirety. But generally, at least in my situation, it would have been taken after the radiation was completed. So tamoxifen is in that first category. The second category is one called aromatase inhibitors. And what aromatase inhibitors do, like anastrozole and others, what they do is they actually shut your body's production of estrogen down. So that's why the cells don't have as much hormone to work with. So one takes the hormone that's already there and prevents the body from utilizing it. And the second classification stops the body from creating a lot of the hormone itself. Two different ways of approaching it, and it's totally going to depend on your situation. The main foundational thing that's going to make your breast cancer treatment include these hormone blocking therapies is going to be whether your cancer was hormone receptor positive, estrogen receptor positive, and or progesterone receptor positive. Many breast cancers are both. If you have a cancer of any kind, particularly breast cancer that is not hormone receptor positive, you won't be a candidate for these medications anyway, because they won't do you any good and you'll have to deal with side effects taking unnecessary medications. Which leads me to the next part of the piece of the puzzle, which is the side effects. These medications, tamoxifen and others, all the aromatase inhibitors, they all carry pretty significant, miserable for many people, side effects. So if you need to take them, and that is something you and your doctor have to determine, it's going to depend on your cancer, what stage it is, whether it's invasive or not, whether it's spread to multiple locations already or not. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. Your situation is completely different than mine. I'm going to share what I decided in answer to some of your questions. But I want to make sure you know that this is a decision made best by you. It's your body, your decision, and in conjunction with a medical professional, a doctor that you trust, their insight, their wisdom, their sensitivity to you. You're a team, you and your doctor, and you need to make this decision with him or her in what's best for you. So we have the two types, tamoxifen representing one, the aromatase inhibitors in the second category. So what did I do? After my radiation was done, I My husband and I both made the decision that we would rather not have hormone blocking therapy, but we were open to the possibility because it does statistically help improve your long-term life expectancy after cancer as far as reoccurrence and how severe it reoccurs. It does help. Statistically, that's been shown. So the question is, are you a candidate? How much will it help? Which was the crux of the issue for me. And then the side effects you need to be aware of and make an informed decision with you and your doctor and your loved ones. Make the decision together in what's best for you. So for me, I went into the medical oncologist and asked him, if I was your mother, your sister, your wife, what would you, given my cancer history, my specifics, what would you tell me to do? And he unblinkingly said, I would tell them not to do it. He said, they are amazing medications. They have significant side effects, but what they do for people that really need them is nothing short of miraculous in some situations. They do improve the odds of your survival long term. There's no question about that, depending on your situation. But he said, depending on my situation, looking just at that, he said, your cancer was stage 0. It had not spread. It was completely encapsulated in your milk duct. And when the tissue was tested extensively by the lab, it was found to have no invasive markers whatsoever. I mean, like I've said in previous vlogs, God has been very gracious to me. If you're going to have breast cancer, this is the kind to have. I'm fortunate, and I don't know why, but I'm very, very grateful that I am. So given my situation, looking at the long-term boost it would give me over a 5-year period and beyond for life expectancy and cancer reoccurrence in and of itself, it only gave me a 1% to 2% boost in life expectancy. And given the severity of the side effects, and given that I struggle with the beginnings, the very, very beginnings of osteoporosis, and these medications the one indicated for me would have been an aromatase inhibitor, which does cause thinning of bone, which I would have had to have additional medications for, which have their own complement of side effects. So because of that, and because of the fact that years ago I had my hormone shut down for 3 months with a shot of a medication called Depolupron, and I was miserable for 3 months. It was in an attempt to shrink my endometriosis so the surgeon could better treat that. It was miserable, absolutely miserable, and that is what the aromatase inhibitor would have done for me. And I decided for 1-2% chance of a greater life expectancy, it wasn't worth it to me. So I was already leaning toward that, and then when my oncologist said, in your situation, he said, it's your decision and I will do whatever, but you're asking me what I would do? I would tell my wife, I would tell my mother, I would tell my sister not to do it. The side effects and how they affect your life would not be worth it in your situation. Now, your situation is very different from mine. I didn't have to have chemo, you might. I chose not to do the hormone blockers. You might need them. And it may make very good sense because depending on your specifics of your situation, the life expectancy boost those meds will give you will make the side effects worth it for you for the next 5 years. That's an individual decision everyone has to make. So I told you what my decision was. No hormone blocking therapy, and I'm at peace with that. You need to make the decision that's best for you so you can be at peace with your decision. Now that we've talked about the hormone blocking therapy question, I've had another question that people have asked me multiple times in my life. How do you stay resilient in the face of all the things that you deal with on a daily basis? That's not an easy question to answer. It really isn't. It's multifaceted, but there's one thing that's been going around and around in my head for the last couple of weeks as I've been dealing with extra health challenges that have kept me from doing my vlog again. Thank you for your patience. What's been going on in my head is what is involved in this whole thing of resilience. What is resilience? Resilience is bending and not breaking. Resilience is refusing to give up, even if everything feels like it's against you. Resilience is finding the positive, maybe little bitty, minuscule thing in an otherwise terrible situation and hanging on to that. Humanly speaking, that's what resilience is. Of course, for me, knowing Jesus personally, God factors in very, very critically to this question. But if you don't know him personally, then you are approaching this just from a human standpoint. So I'm talking about both. What is resilience? What do you feel when you're dealing with whatever it is you're dealing with? A difficult marriage, unloving kids, inability to have kids, chronic health issues, disability, parents that are divorcing. I mean, the list goes on and on. What are you dealing with today that's straining you to the max, for which you need resilience to make it through? I don't know your situation, but I know me, and that's all I can share. When I feel a lack of resilience, and believe me, I do. Most of the time, God is very good to me. I have resilience. He gives that to me. It is a choice of mine to focus on positive, to find ways of moving forward. Those are all choices that he gives me. But in the middle of that, as I'm focusing on him and finding ways to move forward, he gives me the strength, the resilience to keep going. So it definitely is my reality much of the time, but believe me, it is not my reality all the time. There are times when all I want to do is stay in bed, pull up the covers, and just block the world out because it feels what? And I was thinking about that this week. What does it feel to me when I feel a lack of resilience? I feel like I'm at the end of my rope. I feel like I can't take one more thing. The opposite of Escher, I might add. That sense of contentment and inner state of mind where I know that no matter what happens, even if the worst happens, I'm going to be okay. That's Escher. That's a gift from God, which he's given me much of the time. But the opposite of Escher is I feel overwhelmed. And believe me, I feel that at different times. I really do. I'm just being honest with you. Nobody feels on top of things all the time. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care how positive you are. I don't care how strong you are, how resilient you are. Nobody feels that way all the time, and I am no exception. I am no exception. But how do I feel when I feel overwhelmed? I feel like I can't handle anything more. It's a very fragile place to be, and I don't like it. It's a very hopeless place to be, and I don't like it. But as I was thinking this through this week, I definitely recognize that I don't just feel overwhelmed. I feel a sense of, this isn't fair. Why should I have to keep dealing with this? I'm tired of dealing with this. There's this feeling of entitlement that things should be different. It should be better by now. I've been sick for 33 years. Isn't it enough, God? Isn't it enough already? So there's a sense of entitlement, a sense of, this isn't fair, this isn't right. Other people don't deal with that, why me, A lot of emotional energy is spent on trying to fix a situation, trying to get it good, trying to make it right before I can be okay. When I'm in that mindset, and it wastes my energy, what precious little energy I have to turn toward my body healing, my body gaining strength. Instead, I bleed that energy away by worry, by stress. So today, I'm talking about resilience. And people have asked me, how can you be as resilient as you are? Of course, number one answer is God and His mercy and His grace gives me that. As I choose to focus on Him and as I choose to accept. Hence my second point, acceptance. That is the key. Even if you don't know God personally and you're just a human being trying to make it through in this life the best way you can. And if you do know God, you still have to deal with the same thing in your humanity. Why is God allowing this? Do I focus on that, or do I focus on the fact that God is real? I know He's watching me, with me, sovereign over everything. As a Christian, as a true believer in Jesus, I approach things that way because I believe in the sovereignty of a loving God over my life. But if you do not know Him, and I wish you would, turn to Him who loves you so much. But if you do not know Him, it's very, very hard to understand why these things are happening to you. And you need to approach it from a human standpoint and say, what choice do I have? How do I continue to deal with this day in, day out, year in, year out? What choice do I have? I curl up in a ball and die, literally or figuratively, or I find a way forward. And resilience is all about getting up, no matter how many times you're knocked down, getting up and finding a way forward. And for me, the attitude of acceptance has been critical for me. We expect here in the United States, we're very privileged. There's much in our society that isn't right. And we all know it. People from both sides of the aisle have their own ideas about how to fix it, but we do agree on one thing. There are aspects of our life here in America that are not right. They're not fair. They're not right. And we should strive to build a better society. We should strive to be better people, treating others with respect and dignity and love. Treating ourselves the same. We should always aspire for that. But we have to accept, if we're honest with ourselves, that this world is not perfect. Things are not as they should be. And so whatever it is you're dealing with today, I want you to choose resilience. But in order to choose resilience, you must choose acceptance. It is what it is. So why am I bringing that up? For me, it's a way of reorienting myself, reminding myself how blessed I am, reminding myself that life doesn't work. Life, it isn't as it should be. And as a Christian, I know that one day it will be, when Jesus is on the throne, as He should be. It will be one day in heaven. But until then, it is not as it should be. And I am grateful for the presence of a loving God who gets me through it. But the fact is, I still go through a lot of things, a lot of life-altering challenges from day to day that I have to find my way through. So we have a limited amount of energy with which our body uses to heal, and we use to, out of that, become resilient. I'm going to use my energy to not stand and scream, metaphorically, against the things that aren't right and the things I so want to be different. I'm not going to waste my energy doing that, stress myself out doing that, or feeling sorry for myself, or any of those other stress-inducing, energy-wasting things. Instead, I am going to say this is where it is, this is where I am, this is what it is. I'm going to find a way through. I'm going to choose hope that God is with me and He is working good through this, and I am going to find a way forward by His strength. That's how I approach it. So acceptance is the answer, whether you know Jesus or not. Acceptance is the answer. When I accept, I'm still doing all I can to improve my health, in my case, because it's a health situation that I'm dealing with. I'm doing all I can to improve my health. You need to be doing all you can to improve your situation. But the key is you need to understand what you're in control of and what you're not. I saw a diagram years ago, and I always think it in my mind whenever I'm facing a challenging situation. And when I feel discouraged and overwhelmed, I close my eyes and I can see this chart in my head. And it's a simple thing. It's two circles that overlap just slightly in the middle. So there's a shared space between them. One circle is what I have control over. And the other circle is what I don't have control over. The one side, what I have control over, is my choices, my responses, my feelings, my actions, my attitude. Those are all choices nobody can make for me. They are my choices to make. They're fully within my control. On the other circle, things I do not control, other people. Other people's attitudes, other people's choices, other people's words, other people's actions. I cannot control other people. Boy, that sounds simple, doesn't it? But how much energy do we waste trying to control the things we can't control? We stress, we obsess, we feel fearful because we can't control. It sounds really simple, but the fact is the things that are on the we can't control circle, those are the things that often are the most important things to us. Our health, our families, our friends. The things that matter the most to us oftentimes are the things we cannot control or we have very limited control in. That is the center where the two circles overlap. That is the center. The things that I have input into, but I can't control. And so I always use that little Venn diagram to remind myself, reorient myself when I get off track to what I can control, what I can't control. And it challenges me to do the things, whether it's show love to my kids, that's in the middle where the two circles overlap. I can't make my kids love me. That's in the outer circle. I can control how I respond to them. That's in my other circle. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And it helps me understand how best to move forward. So I remind myself, I always keep that reminder there that I can't control, so that I will let go, so that I won't waste energy trying to control, because I end up hurting the people around me when I do. And I hurt myself when I do. So I let go and I accept What can I do to move forward today? And I talked about that last vlog, that there is a way forward if you have the courage to take it. God has put you here on purpose, allowed the circumstances in your life, the good, the bad, and the extremely ugly, for a reason. And He does love you. And again, I encourage you to reach out to Him, because He does love you and He does have a purpose for your life, and He does want to give you that strength to keep going. But either way, it is our choice what we do. If we're going to waste energy feeling sorry for ourselves, being angry because we're still dealing with the same unfair situation, or whether we're going to accept and find a way to move forward. What choice do you have? Use your energies to try to control those around you, to make your life the way you feel it needs to be, and ruin and damage love in the process, and ruin and damage your own health in the process as you obsess and stress over things you cannot control. The choice is yours to let go and find a way forward. Do all you can to make things better. Do all you can to be the right kind of human being to those you come in contact with. Find a way forward. And I do hope that that includes Jesus, because He loves you very much. So today I challenge you, choose hope. That intangible thing you cannot see, but it's the game changer when you have it. And believe me, that's what resilience flows out of. So choose hope. Change what you can, accept what you cannot control, and find a way to move forward in your life. Until next time.